Mr. Rogers here, and I want to talk about R versus K. And R versus K is a unique idea that really comes down to how you take care of your young. How do you take care of your offspring? And with the development of the amniotic egg, we're going to start seeing more what we call K strategy than R strategy. And we'll talk about both in a second here. Okay. So first thing, you're going to read through this really quick, or you did already read through it, hopefully. And what you came up with, or what you probably figured out, is there's two strategies to how to deal with your young. Technically, there is a middle route as well, and some organisms kind of play that middle route. But for us right now, we're gonna just focus on R versus K. And so, what the R strategy says is to produce thousands of young ones, thousands of offspring, and don't take care of them because there's just too many. If you actually try to take care of them, you would go, you'd become exhausted from all the effort and you would die yourself. And so you produce tons and tons and tons and tons of offspring. And why you produce tons and tons and tons is because you know a lot of them are going to die. And you can kind of see the characteristics here. So we have a high number of offspring, low parent care, or none at all. They're going to reproduce early in their lives because they don't have the support from their or from their parents. Their offspring is going to be small because they're making so many of them. Picture if you only have $1,000 to spend on reproduction. If I make 1,000 babies and each baby only gets $1 worth of resources, and so they have to be small. They're going to get independence right away because they're going to be all alone at birth. So they have to be instinct based. They have to be somebody that really, really presses towards being independent almost immediately. The ability to learn because they're so instinct based. If we remember from brain evolution last week, if you have a lot of instincts, you really don't have a brain for memories and learning because you're born with everything you need to kind of know. And your lifespan is short, so there's really no need to have a lot of ability to learn and memory. And there's a high early mortality rate. Like out of the hundreds of thousands that are born, most are going to die right in the beginning, and a few will make it to the end. K strategy is the opposite. So we're going to have a very low number of offspring. Like for humans, it's one every single time for the most part. There's a high level of parent care that is needed. So for, again, humans, because we're one of the biggest K strategists in that ecosystems, we have to take care of our young. I mean, biologically, probably to like 10 to 13 years old around puberty time, but obviously socially all the way to 18. Reproductive maturity, it's late. They can't reproduce right away, offspring. The offspring's gonna be larger. They're gonna be independent later. They have a high ability to learn. That's the parents are gonna teach them things. That's why they're parenting them. Their lifespan is usually longer, and they have lower early mortality. Now, when you look at this map, you're like, why the heck would anyone want the R strategy? Why would anyone want this lower guy here compared to the K? And it really comes down to numbers. This graph shows no numbers of how many offspring is actually born. They're just talking about percentage of offspring surviving. So if I'm producing every single time as a fly 10,000 offspring every single time, yeah, a lot of them die. But when I get down here and about 5% are still living, well, 5% of 10,000 is a big number. I mean, we're talking about, let me do the math real quick, 500 flies still alive towards this time period right here, almost towards the end of their lifespan. 500 flies, that's a ton. But humans, we can have one baby, and obviously we're going to keep that one baby for a long, long time, but you can see it starts dropping off. And for our lifespan, it goes away pretty quick here, right at the end. And okay, so we have a high survival rate, but we only have one child. This fly can have 500. And so there's strategies for both. Different ones make sense for different organisms, but you can really see how an organism evolves by their parental care. If they're caring for their young is going to become have more ability to learn. They're going to have to give parental care, which is a huge evolutionary thing to develop. Uh, if they don't, then their organism has to be based on instincts. They have to be ready to go right away. And so there's a big divide in the animal world, and you can really think about it almost an R versus K way. How do we take care of our young? So make sure you read this. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks.